What happens when the strongest man in the valley collapses and wakes up staring into the eyes of the woman he once broke? That was the truth waiting for Travis Kensington on a scorching afternoon in 1880. The August sun burned over Briarwood Valley like a furnace. Travis Kensington ruled half the land as if he were carved from stone. He owned miles of pasture, thousands of cattle, mills, stores, wagons, and enough money to shake the whole territory. At 34, he worked harder than his 50 ranch hands combined. He slept little, rested even less, and believed nothing in this world could bring him down. But even the strongest wall cracks when pushed long enough. Inside his ranch office, the air smelled of dust, smoke, and leather. 6 men crowded around his desk, arguing about cattle numbers, railway deals, and deadlines. Travis kept his head bent over a ledger, eyes sharp, mind racing faster than the pencil in his hand. "We need 3,000 head by October," his foreman Corbin said. "We'll manage," Travis answered. "Move the crew to the south." The room tilted. Once, twice, the numbers on the page twisted like river water. Sound faded to a dull hum. His fingertips numbed, his chest tightened. "Boss?" Corbin asked. Travis tried to speak. He couldn't. Darkness swallowed him whole. When he opened his eyes again, he lay in the back of a wagon, staring up at blue sky and Corbin's worried face. "Stay still, boss. You passed out cold. We're taking you to the clinic." "I'm fine," Travis muttered, trying to sit, but his body refused. His strength, his pride, felt like sand slipping through his fingers. Minutes later, the wagon stopped on Main Street at Briarwood Clinic. Lavender hung drying over the doorway. Glass bottles lined the shelves inside. Travis hated this place. It smelled like sickness, and it reminded him that even strong men weren't invincible. He was carried, onto a cot. Nothing burned his pride more. "Doctor will be right in," the assistant said. Travis closed his eyes. His chest felt tight, his breath shallow. Fear crept in, quiet but real. What if he wasn't fine? The door opened. Footsteps crossed the wooden floor, steady, certain, professional. "Good afternoon, I'm—" The voice stopped. Travis opened his eyes, and the world froze. Standing in front of him, holding a clipboard, was Mallerie Stratton, his Mallerie. 8 years older, stronger, colder. Her red-brown hair pinned neatly back, her gray dress clean and simple, her green eyes sharp enough to cut him in half. For a moment, she didn't breathe. Then she straightened her shoulders like someone preparing for battle. "Mr. Kensington," she said, voice cool as winter, "lie back. Let's see why you think you're stronger than your own heart." Not Travis. Not any name, she used to whisper, "Mr. Kensington." He obeyed because he had no strength to argue. Her hands were steady as she checked his pulse, but he felt the faint tremble she tried to hide. Her fingertips pressed to his wrist, warm on his skin. His heart jumped at her touch like it recognized her after all these years. "Deep breath in," she instructed. He breathed. Her jaw clenched. She listened to his heart with a stethoscope, moving it across his chest with slow precision. "Your heart is racing," she said. "Maybe it remembers something my head forgot." He answered softly. She froze for half a second. Just half. Then she stepped back, face cold again. "This is a clinic, Mr. Kensington, not your ranch office where you charm your way through problems. Lie still." He watched her work. This woman he'd once planned a future with, the same woman he'd sent away because he chased land and money instead of love. He remembered the day she left. She stood on the train platform with a shaking smile, asking him to choose her, to choose a life with her. And he had told her he couldn't afford distractions. He had chosen ambition, empire, power. She had chosen to walk away. Now here she was, examining him like a stranger. After several long minutes, she crossed her arms. "Your heart is giving way," she said. "It's worn down." And if you keep working the way you do, you won't make it 6 more months. The words hit him harder than any fall from a horse. 6 months? He repeated. Maybe less, she answered, unless you change everything. She asked more questions, checked his reflexes, examined his eyes, listened again to his heartbeat, this time longer, deeper, her expression growing tighter with each passing second. Finally, she stepped back. You will return tomorrow for a complete review, she said, and you will rest today, truly rest. Mallerie, he said softly. She stiffened. It's Dr. Stratton, she corrected, and whatever you think you feel or remember has nothing to do with why you're here. She turned toward the door. I never got to say I'm sorry, he said quietly. She stopped. Her shoulders rose, then fell. 8 years is a long time, Mr. Kensington, she said without turning. Let the past stay buried. Then she walked out, leaving him staring at the door, his heart pounding too fast, not just from sickness, but from everything he thought he had buried long ago. That night, he sat on the porch of his ranch house, staring over the land he owned, land he once thought mattered more than anything. Now he wasn't so sure. His foreman found him there hours later. Boss, you should sleep, Corbin said. I can't, Travis answered. Doctor says I'm killing myself slowly. Corbin hesitated, then said, some of the men said they recognized her, said you two were close once. We were, Travis whispered, and I was a fool. Sleep didn't come. Every time he closed his eyes, he saw her. The girl he'd loved. The woman she'd become. The cold anger in her eyes, and the fear that this time he might lose more than just land or money. He might lose his last chance at everything he once threw away. The next afternoon, Travis rode into town with nerves he had never felt before. The ride usually cleared his mind, but today the wind felt sharp, the sky too wide, the world too heavy. His chest still ached, but not from sickness alone. It ached from the memory of Mallory's cold voice telling him to let the past stay buried. Inside the clinic, her assistant Janelle led him to a quieter room. Shelves filled the space, each holding jars of herbs, folded linens, and handwritten medical notes. A single wildflower sat in a chipped cup by the window. He remembered how she used to braid flowers into her hair when she was young and hopeful in his. When Mallorie walked in, she didn't smile. She didn't soften. She simply opened his file and began reading. You're worse than I thought, she said, flipping a page. Your heart is tired, your body is worn down, and you haven't listened to it for years. How long do I have? He asked. She met his eyes. If you keep living the way you are, 6 months, maybe less. Her words hit like a hammer, but her voice didn't shake, not even once. And if I change? He asked. Then you can live a long life, she said simply. But you must do everything I tell you. 8 hours of sleep, 3 proper meals, rest, fewer work hours. No exceptions. I can't just stop working, Travis said. You can't run a ranch from a grave either, she replied sharply. You think you're the only man in Briarwood who can handle cattle? Your foreman is capable. Your ranch hands are loyal. They don't need you breaking yourself to prove anything. Quote, every word was a knife, but each one cut true. He rubbed a hand over his face. You're not making this easy. I'm not trying to, she said. I'm trying to keep you alive. He paused. Mallorie. Dr. Stratton, she corrected again. He swallowed. I know I hurt you. Her jaw tightened. This isn't about the past. This is about your heart and whether you plan to still be breathing a year from now. But he could see emotion flickering behind her eyes, the kind that came from old scars and old memories. I was afraid, he said quietly. Of what? She asked. Love? Happiness, he answered. Mallorie froze, breath catching for half a second before she turned away, pretending to straighten a stack of papers. You need rest, she said quickly. Real rest. Come back in 3 days. I'll check your progress. 3 days, he repeated. Good day, Mr. Kensington. She walked out without looking back. For the first time in his life, Travis felt small. He did exactly what she ordered. For For 3 days, he slept 8 hours. He ate full meals. He handed most of his responsibilities to Corbin. He took evening walks, remembering how he used to walk with her years ago through meadows behind the old clinic. The dizziness faded. The ache in his chest eased. His head cleared for the first time in years. On the 4th day, he returned for his follow-up. Mallerie checked his pulse, his heartbeat, the color of his skin. She nodded slowly. "You're improving. Not healed, but improving," she said. "Yes, doctor," he replied. She glanced up sharply, as if surprised he didn't argue. For a moment, something softened in her eyes, just a moment. Then, it disappeared again. "You must continue this routine," she said. "Another collapse could be worse." "I understand." She looked down at her notes, then at him. "Anything else?" Quote, "One dinner," Travis said. Her head snapped up. "No." "One dinner," he repeated. "Not a courtship, not a promise, just a meal, neutral ground, to talk. To apologize properly." "Manners won't fix 8 years," she said. "I know," he said, "but maybe talking is a start." Quote, her hands tightened on the edge of the desk. She didn't answer right away. Her heart was fighting her head, and he could see it in every breath she took. Finally, she said quietly, "One dinner, at the Gold Dust Inn, 6 o'clock, and I pay for my own meal." A tiny smile tugged at him. Accepted. At 6 sharp, Travis sat at the corner table at the inn, wearing his good jacket and trying to breathe normally. He had faced wild cattle, hard winters, and bigger deals than any man in Briarwood. Nothing scared him like waiting for her. When she walked through the door, the room fell silent. Her hair was loose, her dress simple but lovely, her eyes soft in the lamplight. "Good evening," she said, sitting across from him. "You look beautiful." "I look the same as always." "No," he said, "tonight you look like you." She didn't reply, but her cheeks warmed just a little. They ordered stew and coffee. For a while they talked safely. Weather, town news, nothing dangerous. But slowly the conversation shifted. She spoke of her training in Denver. He spoke of long nights on the ranch. She told him about patience and hard winters. He told her about loneliness. Their knees brushed beneath the table. Neither pulled away. Then the door swung open and Trouble walked in. Daphne Carmichael. Tall, rich, confident. The daughter of a powerful rancher. She saw Travis instantly and swept toward him with too much sweetness. "Travis, darling," she said loudly, placing a hand on his shoulder. "I didn't know you'd be here tonight." Mallerie stiffened. Daphne smiled at her like she was nothing. "And who might this be?" "This is Dr. Stratton," Travis said, voice tight. "My physician." "Oh, wonderful," Daphne said. "Travis and I need him healthy for when we're married." The entire inn went silent. Mallerie went pale, then cold. "Congratulations," she said, voice flat. "I hope you both find great happiness." "Mallerie, wait," Travis said, standing, but she was already walking out the door. He pushed past Daphne and followed her onto the quiet street. "Mallerie, stop!" She turned, eyes shining with a hurt she tried to hide. "You didn't correct her," she said softly. "You let everyone believe you were marrying her." "It's not true," he said. "There's no engagement, no understanding, nothing." "But you didn't say that," she whispered. "Not once." He swallowed hard. "I was wrong. I should have ended those rumors years ago. I didn't, because it made business easier." She stepped back. "That tells me everything I need to know," she said. "Go home, Mr. Kensington." This time she walked away, and he didn't follow. He stood in the street alone, knowing he had just lost her again. Morning came with whispers spreading across Briarwood, like dust in the wind. Everyone talked about Travis, Mallerie, and the scene at the Gold Dust Inn. Mallerie kept her head high, treated her patients, and hid every trace of hurt behind a doctor's calm face. She didn't answer Travis's letter. She didn't open the flowers he sent. She didn't look toward the ranch even once. But on the 4th day, Corbin walked into the clinic, carrying a sealed envelope with legal stamps. "Dr. Stratton," he said, "the boss told me to give this to you. Said you don't have to take anything from him, except this." She hesitated, then she opened it. Her breath caught. Inside was a deed for 20 acres of prime land, timber rights, a line of credit backed by Travis himself, and a signed trust fund meant to support something called the Briarwood Healing House, a place she once dreamed of building when she was young and hopeful, a place she told him about 8 years ago when she believed they would build a life together. At the bottom was one handwritten line: "Let my land finally do something that matters." Her hands trembled. This was not a bribe, not a plea, not a trick. It was a foundation, a future, a gift with no strings. That evening, as the sun turned the sky gold, Travis rode to her house. He stayed at the bottom of her porch steps, hat in hand, looking worn and determined. "5 minutes," he said softly. "Then I'll leave if that's what you want." "You have 3, she answered. He nodded. "The healing house is yours," he said. "All of it. The deed, the money, the land. You can start building tomorrow, if you want." Quote. She didn't speak. "This isn't to win you back," he added quietly. "It's to make up for the years I wasted. I want to do something good, something real." Still, she stayed silent. "And I ended things with Daphne and her family," he said. "Told them face to face there was no understanding and never would be. Her father will cut investments from my ranch. I don't care." Mallory's breath shook, but she didn't step toward him. "I can't undo the past," Travis said, "but I can start being a better man now. A man who tells the truth. A man who chooses what matters." The wind blew softly around them. The whole world seemed to wait. Then Mallerie said quietly, "Come inside. We'll talk." Inside, they sat at her small kitchen table. He told her about the emptiness of his big ranch house, about every night he spent alone, thinking of the life he threw away. She told him about Denver, about building herself from the ground up, about how hard it was to come home. They talked until the sun dipped behind the hills and the lamp burned low. Finally, she whispered, "Why now, Travis? Why only when you're sick and scared?" "Because I finally understand what matters," he said. "I built an empire, but none of it means anything without someone to share it with." Her eyes softened just a little. "I don't need your empire," she said. "I needed you to choose me." "I'm choosing you now," he said. "Every day, every minute. I'm done putting anything first." She swallowed hard, tears gathering in her eyes, but she didn't look away. "If we start again," she whispered, "you have to promise me something." "Name it." "No more choosing land over love. No more keeping me second. No more silence when the truth needs to be spoken." He nodded. "I swear." And for the first time in 8 long years, she reached for his hand. The months that followed changed everything. Travis worked shorter days. He slept full nights. He ate real meals. He hired a ranch manager. And every morning, he ate 2 fresh tomatoes, laughing about the doctor's orders pinned on his kitchen wall. He and Mallerie walked together in the evenings. They planned the healing house, picking out room layouts and talking about supplies. The town watched and whispered, but this time the whispers softened into approval. At the end of 3 months, Travis stood in her clinic after hours holding wildflowers, nervous as a boy. "I kept my promises," he said. "Yes," she said softly. "You did." "Mallerie Stratton," he said, voice steady, "will you marry me?" She looked at him for a long moment. "Have you been sleeping 8 hours?" she asked. "Yes." "Eating 3 meals a day?" "Yes." "Putting me first?" "Always." She smiled, that soft, warm smile he had missed for so long. "Then yes, I'll marry you." 6 weeks later, they wed at the ranch. Lanterns hung from trees. Music played. The whole valley came to celebrate the doctor who healed hearts and the cattle baron who finally learned how to use his own. Their life together wasn't perfect, but it was real. Full of joy, laughter, work, and love. The healing house opened the next year, helping people from all over the territory. The ranch grew strong under Travis's new balance of work and rest, and their home filled with warmth. They raised children, Hope, Frank, and Aubrey, each one carrying a piece of their story. Years passed, and Travis often stood on his porch watching the sun set over the land he once worshipped. But now he watched it with an arm around Mallerie, knowing that this, family, love, quiet moments, was the true empire he had been meant to build. One evening he whispered to her, "You saved my life." She leaned against him and said, "No, you finally chose a life worth living." He smiled, holding her close as the sky turned orange and gold. He had been a stubborn man once, a man who chased land and power until his heart almost gave out. But a second chance came in the shape of the only woman he ever loved, and this time he didn't let her go.